Joining us right now is Avi Melamed, an independent Middle East strategic intelligence analyst, regional expert, and lecturer specializing in the current affairs of Arab and the Muslim world. Thank you so much for your time. You're connecting with us this evening from Washington, D.C. I want to begin by asking you, today the personal residence of the Prime Minister of Israel was targeted by Hezbollah. Fortunately, he wasn't home. It has reached the doorstep of Mr. Netanyahu. What do you think would be the response of Israel now?
Morning. Thank you for having me. Yes, there was yet another attempt of the Hezbollah, this time apparently to target the Israeli Prime Minister private residential. It seems to me like that there is going to be quite immediate Israeli response. I think that we should expect in the very short term an Israeli attack maybe in the south part of Beirut. That will be kind of like a signal from Israel. After a long period of time of a pause of the Israeli attacks on the south part of Beirut, it seems like that shortly there is going to be something like that in the south part of Beirut, the center of the Hezbollah in Beirut.
Right. You know, Israel in a statement has said that they can reach any target they want. It seems like the Hezbollah has also managed to penetrate and hit with precision, isn't it?
Yes, that is correct. The Hezbollah is armed with the best weapon the Iranians can offer, particularly in terms of missiles and drones. We know that. The Iranians are supplying the Russians with drones and others. We know that they have a very advanced capacities in terms of the missiles and the drones, and the Hezbollah enjoys that capacity. Nobody is underestimating the seriousness of the threat of the Hezbollah.
Nobody is underestimating this. You know, a senior official of the Israeli government has said that Iran tried to eliminate Netanyahu. This assumes a great deal of significance today. Earlier, some reports have said that Israel has agreed not to target Iranian oil facilities and nuclear sites. After the attack, don't you think this option is now back really on the table?
I don't think so. It's not a personal matter in the end of the day. What I look at the Iranian attack that the Hezbollah was carrying, remember that right now it is actually an Iranian general who commands Hezbollah in Lebanon after Israel has eliminated all the senior leadership of the Hezbollah. So now the Hezbollah is directly operating under the guidance of an Iranian general. But one way or another, it's obviously that the Hezbollah in the end of the day is an arm of the Iranians. So the attacks of the Hezbollah on Israel is to a large extent an Iranian attack on Israel anyway. But I don't think that necessarily that will result in an Israeli counter-reaction focusing on the oil infrastructure, on the Iranian nuclear facilities. I think that in that regard, there is an understanding between Israel and the United States that Israel will refrain from targeting those targets.
So with the assassination of Yahya Sinwar, is the Hamas story finally over in your sense?
No, Hamas story is not over. Hamas is not going to disappear. It's going to be part and parcel of the Palestinian people. The big question, of course, is what the Palestinian people are going to do following the disaster that Hamas has inflicted upon Gaza Strip by launching the war on Israel on October 7th. So I think that right now it's an open question, but I think we should be realistic and understand people who says that Hamas is going to disappear or is going to be eliminated. This is not realistic. Hamas is not going to disappear. The question is, of course, what will be the role of Hamas in the future political structure of the Palestinians? Obviously, currently Hamas is significantly weakened, but it's not going to disappear.
Right. You know, some experts also say that Hezbollah relies on a decentralized force. Will there be many more leaders who will surface now? Is that your expectation? You know, for how long will this go on?
Well, in the end of the day, there is always someone who, step up from the ranks and fill the vacuum. And as I mentioned before, currently, the Iranians understand that one of the major challenges of the Hezbollah is that it has lost all of its senior and middle-level military chain of command, or most of them, which significantly damage and sabotage and neutralize Hamas military capacity. So that's the reason why the Iranian rushed to send general, the second in command of a Quds force, to take leadership over Hezbollah and to guide the organization at this point. So I would guess that at some point we will see other figures coming from the ranks of Hezbollah to fill the void. But yet again, the people that Israel has eliminated, the military commander of the Hezbollah, as well as the political one, of course, including the Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah, that has caused a very significant damage to the Hezbollah, and it will take time for the organization to recover from that. And in parallel, we should also note that the Lebanese are more and more demanding very clearly from the Hezbollah to disarm itself and to end the chapter where the Hezbollah and Iran actually were able to dictate their will and interest upon the Lebanese by terrorizing them. The question, of course, whether the Lebanese will be able to do that, that's an open question.
Lastly, I want to ask you, what really is the message, in your opinion, that Iran wants to send by targeting the residents or targeting Benjamin Netanyahu like they did?
Iran is currently in a very challenging situation. Two of its most significant proxies, Hamas in Gaza Strip and Hezbollah in Lebanon, are severely beaten. Iran is bracing for what's supposed to be an upcoming Israeli attack, which is likely to be very significant, even though apparently I don't think Israel will attack necessarily the oil infrastructure or the nuclear sites, but still there are many targets that Israel could attack that are legitimate and could cause the Iranian regime a lot of damage. So the bottom line is that the Iranian regime currently is trying to restore its declining deterrence and its declining image of deterrence, which is something very significant in our region. The Iranian regime is trying to signal that it's still around, though his proxies have sustained some major blow. He has no intention to give up its hegemonic vision. So right now, this is, I think, the major thing that guides the Iranian policy vis-a-vis the situation currently.
All right, Avi Melamed, thank you so much for your time, your insight, and thanking you for your perspective on that big story that we're tracking from West Asia.